Bonjour et bienvenue à la 5e semaine du cours de français 102 sur Internet à Ivy Tech. This week's video is probably the most important video for all of French 102 online. We'll be covering the past tense today, the passé composé, in chapter 7, and this is probably the most important topic in French 102. Nous allons commencer ici avec le cours sur Blackboard, et je veux vous montrer qu'il y a deux vidéos sur Blackboard. The first topic we're going to be covering in the grammar section in chapter 7 is modal verbs vouloir, pouvoir, devoir, et savoir. And there is a little video here in Blackboard on those verbs because it is not included in the grammar tutorials video on Central. And also there is an extra video here on the passé composé verbs using être. There's 17 of them. And they're included in the grammar tutorial video in Central, but this is a fun video that you really should watch. With the 17 verbs, they make an acronym, Dr. and Mrs. Vandertrump, and that is how high school students remember them. That's what they told me, and it seems to work very well for my French students at Ivy Tech and at ISU. There's also an extra video here, just a fun one for you to watch on the Eurostar train. L'Eurostar, c'est le train qui va de Paris à Londres. Going 208 miles per hour. It's a really neat train to be on. You can also load up your car on it, and then you get out of your car and go into a wagon to cross the channel between France and the UK, so that when you get into the UK you have your own car to drive around, which is hard because it's on the wrong side of the road, but they allow you to do that. So voilà la section de grammaire interactive du chapitre 7 sur Central. On commence avec les verbes vouloir, pouvoir, devoir et savoir. So if you don't remember what a modal verb is, it's very simple. We started learning them in chapter 3 with verbs like aimer, adorer, détester, préférer. So for example, you can say j'aime les pâtes, I like pasta. Or you can say j'aime manger des pâtes, I like to eat pasta. And in this case, the verb aimer, or j'aime, becomes a modal verb because it's the first verb followed by an infinitive. So we're learning 4 more modal verbs this time in this chapter. Vouloir is what you want to do. Pouvoir, what you can do. Devoir, what you have to do. And savoir, what you know how to do. Voici par exemple, ils veulent sortir ce soir. They want to go out tonight. Ils peuvent aller en boîte. They can go to a nightclub. Moi, je dois rester chez moi ce soir. I have to stay home tonight. Et tu sais danser? You know how to dance? Here are 2 that are conjugated similarly, vouloir et pouvoir. Vouloir, c'est je veux, tu veux, il veut, nous voulons, vous voulez, ils veulent. Alors pouvoir, vous pouvez deviner la conjugaison. C'est je peux, tu peux, il peut, nous pouvons, vous pouvez, ils peuvent. And you'll need to write that in the table when you click on the complétant le tableau link here. Devoir is also irregular, and the nous and vous stem differ from the other forms. So je dois, tu dois, il doit, nous devons, vous devez, ils doivent. You see that the nous has the stem DEV, dov, and vous aussi. Mais les autres formes ont la racine DOI. Alors, savoir has 2 meanings. When it's followed by an infinitive, it means an ability to do something. When it's followed by a noun, it means that you know a certain fact. So, elle sait trouver le théâtre, for example. Trouver is an infinitive verb. She knows how to find the theater. Mais elle sait quelle pièce on joue. Does she know which play is going to be played? So, quelle pièce is a noun. So, she knows that fact. Savoir is also irregular, like the forms above, but the whole conjugation uses the same stem. So, the stem is SA. SAV in the plural. Je sais, tu sais, il sait, nous savons, vous savez, ils savent. Those are the four modal verbs that you're asked to learn here in the first section, grammar section for chapter 7. Je passe maintenant à la section 7.2. Tu peux faire quelque chose ce week-end? Here we're going to learn the indefinite pronouns quelqu'un, quelque chose et quelque part. Quelqu'un is someone, quelque part is somewhere, quelque chose is something. They're called pronouns because they replace a noun whenever needed, and they're invariable, meaning they don't change. Unlike adjectives that change in a masculine, feminine, and singular and plural form, these are pronouns, so they remain invariable, they don't change. Voici quelques exemples. Quelqu'un achète les billets. Someone is buying the tickets. Tu veux manger quelque chose? Do you want to eat something? Nous allons quelque part cet après-midi. We're going somewhere this afternoon. Quelqu'un et quelque chose can be modified by adjectives, but you need to have the de in between the two. So, for example, he's looking for someone charming. Between someone and charming in English, there isn't anything. In French, you need to add a de. Il cherche quelqu'un de charmant. Il cherche quelqu'un d'intelligent. Puisque intelligent commence avec un i, avec une voyelle, il faut enlever le e et mettre une apostrophe. Quelqu'un d'intelligent. Elle mange quelque chose de bon. She's eating something good. Again, here in English, between something and good, you don't need anything. But in French, it's quelque chose de bon. Ou quelque chose de délicieux. De très bon. Again, if you had an adjective here starting with the vowel, you would take out the e and put an apostrophe there. Instead of the de, would be the apostrophe. Quelqu'un et quelque chose can start a sentence, can act as a subject of the sentence, and the negative form as well. So somebody or nobody, or everything or nothing can start a sentence. If you have the negative form, so personne being nobody, and rien being nothing, that needs to be followed by a ne or an apostrophe if the verb starts with a vowel. So in English it sounds strange because you don't translate that ne, but remember that in French every negation has two parts, ne pas. So you need to have this ne here. You don't have the pas because that's included in personne and rien, but you still need to have the ne. So quelqu'un va au concert ce soir? Is somebody going to the concert tonight? No, personne ne va au concert ce soir. Nobody is going to the concert tonight. So nobody is not, or don't forget this little ne, even though you don't translate it in English. Tout est appétissant sur cette carte? Is everything appetizing on this menu? No, you must be at a really bad restaurant. No, rien n'est appétissant sur cette carte. Nothing is appetizing on this card. So again, you have rien n'est appétissant. Ça va? C'est la fin de la section 7.2. Je passe à la section 7.3. Et c'est ici que commence le passé composé. So this past tense that makes up the bulk of what you're learning in chapter 7. Le passé composé. This section 7.3 is on the majority of verbs that are conjugated using the auxiliary avoir. Auxiliary means helping verb. So, j'ai regardé is I have watched. The section 7.4 is about 17 verbs in French that are exception verbs and use the verb être instead of avoir as an helping verb to make this compound past tense. So let's start with this section, 7.3. Passé composé, qu'est-ce que vous avez fait hier? Alors, vous voyez qu'il y a deux formes au verbe. Oui. The two forms of the verb is a, which is avoir, and regarder, which is an er verb, and that's the past participle, so you write it with e accent aigu, et Eric a regardé un DVD. This can mean Eric watched a DVD or has watched a DVD. Ils ont rendu visite à ses parents. They visited her parents or his parents, or they had visited his or her parents. So in English, you don't necessarily translate it as a compound tense, but you can. The passé composé is a past tense to express every action that has started and ended in the past. and it's often used for repetitive actions as well. You see that avoir is your helping verb, and regarder is your past participle, ou participe passé. That's the second part of the verb. So here you have Jean a déjà mangé. Jean already ate or has already eaten. You see that the déjà, the already, goes in between the helping verb, the auxiliary, and manger, the past participle. Sandrine a parlé à son prof. She has spoken or she spoke to her professor. You learned three main verbs, verb groups in French. That's the three that are. The first group ends with er, like étudier, jouer. Those form their participle in et. The verbs in ir, like dormir et finir, form their participle just in i. So j'ai dormi, j'ai fini. And verbs that end in re form their participle in you. So vendre is to sell, j'ai vendu is I sold. That's the main rule for most verbs. Now you know in French there are always exceptions, so here are some below. With devoir, to must, to have to, is du, du. So you notice this little hat accent on the u here. This is to differentiate it from the du of or from, wait, or some. Like j'ai mangé du pain, I ate some bread. That du does not have an accent on it. So this du has the hat accent on it to differentiate it from the other du. So tu as dû is you had to. Elle a eu is she had. Le u is a past participle for the verb avoir, which is not normal, it's irregular. And su is a past participle for the verb savoir, to know. Elles ont su, they learned that something happened. So then guess what j'ai bu is for? J'ai bu un verre d'eau is for boire. Il a été. Il a été malade, par exemple. He was sick is for être. On a fait du vélo. We biked. Fait is for faire. On a mis la table. We set the table. Mis is for mettre. Vous avez pris un ballon, for example. You got or you caught a ball. Pris is for prendre. Elles ont pu monter dans l'avion, for example. They were able to get in a plane. Pu is for pouvoir. Elles ont voulu manger une gaufre, for example. They wanted to eat a waffle. So voulu it comes from vouloir. Elles ont vu un oiseau, for example. They saw a bird. Vu is from voir. So you can complete the table here with the verbs that I just gave you. When you're using the negation in the passé composé, remember negation is two parts, the ne and the pas, and it goes around the helping verb. So, nous avons fait la vaisselle would be we did the dishes. Nous n'avons pas fait la vaisselle. The ne goes before avant and the pas goes after avant. It surrounds that helping verb. Nous n'avons pas encore commencé. We have not yet started. So the ne comes before avant and the pas encore stays together as one word expression before the past participle, which is commencer. Je n'ai rien mangé ce matin. I didn't eat anything this morning. The ne comes before a and the rien comes after a. Je n'ai rien mangé. But there are two exceptions. It's nowhere and nobody. For nowhere is nulle part, and that comes after the entire verb, the helping verb and the past participle. And personne, which is nobody, also comes after the entire verb, the helping verb and the past participle. So nous n'avons voyagé nulle part. Nulle part vient à la fin. Et nous n'avons vu personne. Personne vient aussi à la fin. D'accord? So this is a lot to learn, it's a lot to understand, it's a lot to retain. You need to make sure that you watch the grammar tutorial video here in the grammar tutorial tab before you do any of your assignments, as well as the grammar videos that I have in Blackboard. This is 7.3. Now is the last grammar point of chapter 7 is the passé composé verbs using être as the auxiliary. And there are only 17 of them, and those are the ones that form the acronym Dr. and Mrs. Vandertrump. So there are few verbs that use être instead of avoir. Like this one, aller is to go, et il est allé au musée. He went or he has gone to the museum. Nous sommes allés au parc. We went or we have gone to the park. Many of those verbs out of the 17 that use être are verbs of movement. They express a movement in and out of something or up and down the stairs, monter, descendre, from one location to the other. There's a couple on that list of 17 that don't have anything to do with movement, like il est mort, mourir is to die, so he died, or elle est née, naître is to be born, so elle est née is she was born. Those don't have anything to do with movement, but most of the other verbs on the list do. So they use être as their auxiliary, and they do something else different from the verbs that use avoir in the passé composé. Means that the past participle agrees in number and gender with the subject. So just like adjectives, if you're talking about one man who went to the university or to the campus, say il est allé à la fac. Aller just has E accent aigu as ending. But if you're talking about a lady, she went to the library because elle is a lady. Aller needs to have an E at the end. You don't hear it when you're speaking, but you have to write it down. Ils sont allés au restaurant universitaire. Il as a group of men with an S at the end. Aller also needs to take an S, so it needs to be masculine plural. Elles sont allées au gymnase because you're talking about a group of ladies who went to the gymnasium. Aller needs to have an E and an S at the end of the past participle. And you don't hear the S or the ES, but you do need to write it down for being correct in written. So this is what you need to remember. So when you're looking at a verb and you need to make it in passé composé, and it's in the list of many verbs that use être or avoir, try to remember first, is it one of those 17 Dr. and Mrs. Vandertrump verbs? If not, then you use avoir. If it is, then you use être. After you use être, you look at your subject of the sentence and you determine if it's masculine or feminine or singular or plural, and that will determine the ending of your past participle. So it's a two-step process to write the passé composé verbs. And again, this is the biggest chunk of grammar in French 102. It's also the most important one, and it's the one that will take you probably the most time to learn and to retain. If you'd like to have additional information on the passé composé from a different site with different points of view, I want to remind you you can go to the University of Texas website for French grammar, and they have a good explanation of the passé composé with avoir and with être, with a few exercises that autocorrect too if you'd like to do some of those. But this is optional. Alors voilà, c'est tout pour la semaine 5. You also have an oral presentation that's due on Blackboard Collaborate. This is only 2 or 3 minutes. You need to keep the sentences very simple. You can have them all in the present tense. Keep your subject matter very simple. I would like some slides, so if you have any text on the slides, it should be bullet points or short text. Don't write everything on your PowerPoint that you're going to say. And keep your presentation very, very simple. Grammar-wise, keep it simple. Vocabulary-wise, keep it simple. And also the topic. So if in your paper last week you wrote about the health system in France, for example, don't try to explain in French orally the whole health system in France in 3 minutes. Just pick one aspect. So maybe you research one special hospital that you like and you have pictures about it, and you describe it in very simple words with what you learn in 101 and 102. So don't write a speech in English, put it in Google Translate and try to read it, because it will just result in a zero. This is not you writing, this is not you speaking. You need to make sure you write your own speech. It's very, very short. Keep it simple. Do it yourself. And you can check your pronunciation on the Forvo, Forvo.com website. Or you can put single words in Google Translate and have Google Translate say them out loud for you. But don't copy and paste your whole speech in English to Google Translate and just read it in French, because I've listened to some of those speeches and they all got zeros. It's just too obvious and it's not correct. Most of the what Google Translate spits out is not correct. So if you need any help and you want to write a whole script, please do go ahead and email it to me. I will read it and correct it for you before you do your presentation on Blackboard Collaborate. Also, if you're having any trouble uploading any images or PowerPoint presentation, remember that you can share your screen on Blackboard Collaborate using this little image of the two screens. If you click on that, then whoever is watching your recorded presentation will be able to see your screen. So if uploading a presentation doesn't work, use this share button to be able to share your screen. It will slow down your recording a little bit. It might blur your speech a little bit, but if you switch very slowly between every screen when you're in the presentation share button, it should work. It has worked in the past. Voilà, c'est tout. Si vous avez des questions, n'hésitez pas à me contacter. Bonne semaine à tous et à bientôt.